I just want to say thank you to the Hall of Fame for having this for these fighters. I want to congratulate all the new inductees, and I want to say congratulations to all the ones who have been in here. To be on this stage with all of these guys, it's amazing, and you know, it's an honor. In order to appreciate the magnitude of today's induction, I would like to take you back and share with you all how it all began on Johnny's first world title. October the 12th, 1994. The pit in Albuquerque was nearly sold out for Johnny's title fight against the very dangerous and formidable Henry Martinez. As Johnny made his way into the ring, you could not hear the announcers or the ring entrance music. All you could hear was a crowd of thousands cheering for their champ, their underdog, their hero. Johnny had the greatest fans in the history of boxing. He loved them with every ounce of his heart, and in turn, they believed in him and they loved him back. His fans all stood throughout the announcing of the fighters, cheering and holding up their homemade signs for their hometown hero. When that first bell rang, the crowd fought alongside with Johnny. They rallied for him, and Johnny soared to the greatest of heights. Johnny would not let his fans down. He would often say throughout his illustrious career that you would have to kill him in order to beat him. And in turn, his fans rode with him all the way to victory. Johnny had put on an amazing display of adrenaline and talent. Johnny TKO'd Martinez in the 11th round. The underdog from Albuquerque had finally made it. When Johnny's arm was raised in victory, Johnny cried and so did his fans. There was not a dry eye in the house at the pit that night. Johnny dedicated his win and new bout to his fans and to his proud grandpa Miguel and to his angel in heaven watching over him, his beloved mom Virginia. Johnny always said his first championship was the most magical and endearing. Johnny fought like a demon possessed throughout his career, but that night was magical. Johnny believed that the strength and ferocity of his fans gave him the will to succeed. Johnny laid everything he had in the ring for his fans that night and for the rest of his life in and out of the ring. Through all of his triumphs, tragedies, and many resurrections, the fans were his strength and salvation. He always said he could not do it with his fans, and he truly meant it. Today, Johnny, the fans, the boxing community have returned the love that you gave throughout your career. From this day forward, Johnny, you shall be immortalized with the greats that fought before you. Your name, memory, and enormous heart will live on forever. 2017's Hall of Fame inductee, Johnny "Mi Vida Loca" Tapia.
Okay, folks, now we're going to start recognizing the inductees that are here with us today. Born in San Francisco, California, he began his career in broadcasting in 1965. After stints in New York City doing TV and radio for NBC, he returned to the West Coast in 1978. In 1980, he left for upstart cable channel HBO, taking over for Hall of Famer Don Dunphy as the blow-by-blow man on World Championships, championship boxing alongside Larry Merchant and Sugar Ray Leonard. While on HBO, he worked such bouts as Marvelous Marvin Hagler, Roberto Duran, Larry Holmes, Jerry Cooney, Leonard Hagler, Aguayo Pryor, and Tyson Bourbon. Following his time at HBO, he spent years calling action on ESPN's top-ranked series, Fox Sports Sunday Night Fights. Since 2012, he's been the blow-by-blow announcer for Showbox, The New Generation, on Showtime. Four-time Emmy Award winner, a 1992 Sam Taub Award by the Boxing Writers Association of America, 2017 Hall of Fame inductee, Barry Tompkins.
I got my boys here. First, I just wanted to address to Johnny Lewis. Where are you, Johnny?
Over there.
There you are. When they refer to you as old time, don't you wish they'd save that for the eulogy? You're still going, man. Before we really get going here, I want to give a big thanks to Ed Brophy and his unbelievable staff here and all the volunteers, all these people in red shirts that you see around here, they all belong to Hall of Fame. Although, and I must say, I don't see any of them here. You don't get tickets to this thing? I have to tell you, this induction today is because of many, and in spite of a few. Television, of course, is a subjective business. And you go on the air and you put it out there, and you hope that people like what you do. Some like it, some hate it. That's just kind of the nature of the beast. What makes this day so humbling is that it is an acknowledgement by my peers, an acknowledgement that maybe over the course of 40-odd years, maybe somewhere along the line, I contributed a thing or two to this great sport that has survived since the Marquess of Queensberry decided that we couldn't go eye gouging any longer. All that we as broadcasters can try to do is just chronicle the event that's being played out in front of us. It's the great fighters and the trainers and the cutmen and the officials, many of whom are in this room, that put forth in one evening in an 18-foot square all the things that we talk about. And hopefully, maybe we can add the one or two strokes that paint a picture that might be remembered. Much as great fighters make great fights make great television. And I've really been privileged to be a part of some pretty great fights. The first boxing I did was in 1976. Interesting, James Toney was on that card. That's not true. I'm only kidding. That was 40 years ago. I know, I'm sorry. That's why I majored in English. That first boxing that I did was the '76 Olympics in Montreal, and of course it was the greatest American Olympic team ever with Sugar Ray Leonard and Howard Davis and the Spinks brothers, both of whom are with us tonight, John Tate, and of course the great Cuban heavyweight, Teofilo Stevenson. Over the course of time, I've been asked many times to defend the sport of boxing, which I do, and I really wish that boxing fans, and even more importantly, the sports fan in general, could have had the same vantage point that I've had in the sport over the past 40 years. There's no group of athletes that I would rather deal with than boxers. They are unique in every respect. You ask a fighter a question, he looks you in the eye, he gives you an honest answer. I have always marveled at the end of every fight, fighters will go over and hug each other, and it's not a cursory hug. It's a bond between two warriors who only they can understand what it takes to do what they do. It says something, I think, about what this sport is and what sets all these people on the stage behind me and many of you out in the audience apart. Boxing is family. For a few years, I had a chance to MC the Nevada Boxing Hall of Fame, the induction ceremony. My co-inductee here this week, Evander Holyfield, when he went into that hall, he was presented by Mike Tyson. When Roberto Duran went in, he was enshrined by Sugar Ray Leonard. And this year, when Erik Morales goes in, my co-honoree, Marco Antonio Barrera, will introduce him. That's 6 guys who went to war 8 different times, their most hated rival, and they have the most respect for that other guy. That's what makes this sport, and that's what it's all about. In 1979, I was asked if I might be able to do some work for this cable network, and honestly, I didn't even know what cable television was at the time. It turned out to be HBO, and that started a pretty good trip for me. HBO was kind of our gang back in those days, and my gang was producer Ross Greenberg, our director Mark Payton, who's still a great friend of mine, a guy that's a lot smarter than any of us here, Larry Merchant, and Sugar Ray Leonard, whom I'd met 3 years earlier at the Montreal Olympic Games. We had a lot of fun, we had a really good run, we worked hard, and we played pretty hard too, and we were fortunate enough to call some of the biggest fights in history. And they've already been mentioned to you, but I did Leonard Hearns, Pryor Arguello, Holmes Cooney, Hagler Hearns, Tyson Burbick, Leonard Hagler, and many, many others. I got lucky to be at HBO during those hitting days, and it was great. And then it got even greater. In 1988, I went to work for ESPN doing the top-ranked boxing series. My partner, Hall of Famer, Al Bernstein. We instantly became great friends, and I'm sure that was much to the chagrin of the ESPN suits. I don't remember if we did more commentary or we did more laughing together, but I can tell you this, it hasn't stopped since, and I thank you, Al. I've been so lucky over the years to have been sitting next to someone who really knows and and understands what it is they're looking at. For 15 years, that someone was Rich Murata. I have nothing but respect for Rich. He's one of the only guys I know who can make a dreadful matchup somehow seem important. Rich wanted to be here tonight. He really did want to be here as much as he could. He's recouping from heart surgery. All our thoughts, I know, are with him. He's back at home in Reno. And of course, I saved the best for last. It all started for me with a rather innocent phone call to a guy I just knew on kind of a casual basis, but I respected him as someone who knew more than anybody else that I know about the sport of boxing. It was this guy, Steve Farhood. It was then that this sport really showed what a family it was. I found a family at Showtime, the likes of which I've never been around. The Showbox series on Showtime has now been on the air for 16 years, and frankly, it was really bittersweet for me to step into this because I took place of Nick Charles, one of the greats, no longer with us, but one of the great guys. But from that day, 5 years ago, I was made to feel a part of a group of television professionals that honestly I didn't know still existed in what really can be a callous and an impersonal business. The thanks I have for these people goes way beyond the few names that I'm going to be able to mention here tonight. I've known David Dinkins for years. I've known him as a friend, I've known him as a colleague, and now I know him as a boss and a supporter. Loyalty, and I promise you this is true, is a rare commodity in this business. And I can't thank David enough for his. He's a television professional. That's the highest praise I can think of to give to anyone. David. In all the years that I've been doing this sport, I have never met anyone who brings more passion and conviction combined with a sensitivity and just plain kindness to his job more than Gordon Hall. Were it not for Gordon, I would not be working for the best people I've ever worked for, nor would I be standing at this dais. Gordon, I'm proud to say that I work for you, and I'm even prouder to call you a friend, and a good one. El Diamante, Raul Marquez. What I will always admire and respect about Raul is he sincerely wants to be as good a broadcaster as he was a fighter. Raul, I'm really proud of you. I'm proud of all you've done, and I'm really glad to have you as part of this family. Mi amigo. Two other people are sitting down here. Rich Gaughan and Rick Phillips. They're joined at the hip. They are the embodiment of what Showbox is. You know, it's not often when you end an email or a text with looking forward to seeing you. But not only do I do it, I really mean it. Every time we get together, we have a lot of fun. In this case, they are also great professionals, but better yet, they're pros who make me laugh. These guys are great. Rich Gaughan, Rick Phillips. Jr., he's a part of almost everything we do here at Showtime. You heard him talk about his father and how he learned to pronounce a 14-syllable name. It took me 2 weeks to pronounce Steve. Jimmy has become another great friend, and for me to be included in today's induction with his dad makes me feel like I'm in some pretty select company. Joey Silva, she's the little sister I never had. Chris de Blasio for his part in my standing here today, and our PR crew, which is beyond Matt, Flo, and Maddie. I thank all of you for everything that you guys do. Joe Giacovino is here today too. Joe, another big part of our pay. He supplies more information than I can ever possibly absorb. And the big boss, Stephen Espinoza, for keeping this old ornament on the tree when he's got all those shiny new ones to play with. I really appreciate it. Brian Custer is a colleague and a friend who couldn't be here today because his son was graduating, but a guy who I promise you will be standing here one day. And one of my favorite folks, Mauro Unalo. Mauro is the busiest guy in America, and he lives in Los Angeles. He took 3 flights to come here and be with us today. And that really tells you what the Showtime family is all about. Mo, I thank you, man. I work with the greatest group of professionals I've ever been a part of, and I just love every minute of it. I forgot about the guy Steve Farhood. this day just would not be the same, but the fact that he too is being honored as he should be. That casual call I talked of has blossomed into a cherished friendship. Steve continues to be the most knowledgeable boxing person I know. Maybe Al Bernstein. I didn't want to get his nose out of joint. How lucky am I get to do what I love. I work for and with people that I love. I laugh and scratch through the funniest people I know, Steve Farhood and Al Bernstein. I'll tell you what, life is pretty darn good for me. And this week I have my own family here to mingle with my boxing family. My two daughters, Andrea and Lainey, are right down here. My grandson Jared, my son-in-law Jeff, my friends, Lorna Stevens and Doug Smith are back here, came all the way from San Francisco. Yvonne and Todd Middleton, great friends of ours from New York, kind enough to share this lost weekend, and it has been a lost weekend, with us here in Canastota. One other pretty good partner as well, and that's my wife Joan. I wouldn't be whatever it is that I am were it not for Joan. I can only tell you, I'm married up, I promise. And all of you who took the time to vote this kid in, who only knew his left from his right, I can't thank all of you enough. It's been a wonderful weekend being here. I may not be deserving, but I promise you, I am humbled. Thank you all.
Subjective. Try being a judge.
Yeah, you're right.
As I introduced Barry, at the very end I mentioned the ring, but we also, our living inductees get a Hall of Fame ring, so I want to make sure you understood that. And next up, born in Scranton, Pennsylvania, he began working as a judge for the Nevada State Athletic Commission in 1980. Over the next 3.5 decades, he became one of boxing's leading judges, officiating 225 world title bouts. And by the way, he's our first judge-only inductee. Among the high-profile bouts he was assigned, there include Holmes, Cooney, Chavez, Taylor, Jones Jr., Tootie, Tapia, Romero, Holyfield, Foreman, Kawasaki, Jones Jr., Mayweather, De La Hoya, and Bo Holyfield, the whole trilogy. After 35 years at ringside, he judged his last contest in 2015, the WBO featherweight title bout between Lomachenko and Rodriguez in Las Vegas. 2017 Hall of Fame inductee in the non-participant category, Jerry Roth.
After 35 years of judging thousands of fights, including upwards of 250 world title fights, I'm truly honored to be here today. When I received the phone call from Ed Brophy that I was going to be inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame, I was speechless. Believe me, speechless is not a word that describes me. He asked me to describe how I felt at that moment, and all I could do was to actually cry. I was so touched. I've now had 6 months to let this sink in, and I'm still very emotional about it, so if I start to cry, you'll know why. I'm humbled and truly proud of this honor. Being inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame with each of the deserving inductees over the years is something that will leave a lasting impression on me forever. This has been a wonderful weekend and one of the highlights of my life. I can never thank you enough for honoring me and making me feel so very special.
classed as a teenager at the Newtown Police Boys Club. After a senior trainer left the gym, he assumed his duties and so began his career of the sweet science as a trainer at the tender age of 17. Guided such notable prize fighters as Joe Buckner, Paul Briggs, Gary St. Clair, Billy Dibb, Jeff Harding, and Hall of Famers Jeff Fenech, Kosciuszko, and Virgil Hill. With over 5 decades in the sport, he is noted for his integrity, his dignity, and also for his compassion toward his fighters. 2017 Hall of Fame inductee in the non-participant category, Johnny Lewis.
Indeed, that's a hard act to follow Jerry Roth, a wonderful, wonderful guy. To be a judge and to be a member of the Hall of Fame, it just shows you how good he really was. And I'm honoured to have had him judge a few of my fights, and it was great meeting up with him here today. Very much like Jerry, I've had 6 months to think about this particular day. I was in the car with my wife when Ed Brophy rang me and informed me that I was also to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. I think we both had tears in our eyes because she knew the importance of what boxing meant to me since I was a very young kid. I'm here with my wife today and my 2 children and 2 very good friends from Australia that have come over here with me to make it all worthwhile. Listen to Barry. They give boxing so much credibility. They love it the same way I do. It is something very, very special and something that I've enjoyed for almost every day of my life. I've got to thank everybody that I ever trained because they've all moulded me into what I was with the confidence and experience to get onto the top banner of boxing, to come over to the Mecca of boxing in Vegas. It was a big step for us from a little area called Erskineville in Sydney. There are so many I want to thank, but I always feel indebted to a young kid that I had as an amateur boxer, and only after a few fights he made and captained the Australian Olympic side in 1984, and he went on to win 3 versions of world titles in 3 different divisions, and also had a draw for a 4th. That is Jeff Fenech, who it would have been lovely to see him here today, but he's got other things to do, and I use that, and every other kid that was in the gym learned from what Jeff put in. I've never seen anyone work as hard to get what he achieved. It never came easy, but there's an old saying, you only take out what you put in, and he put in so much. I saw Don Majeski the other night, and I remember Don Majeski likened him to a Harry Greb, that his work rate was unbelievable. I might say that it's indeed an honour for me to be here. This is such a wonderful thing for all our athletes. The town of Minnesota, I hope that it stays here forever. The people here is absolutely wonderful. The volunteers, they make this all happen. And I might say that I always had a favourite fighter that one of my guys fought. And I remember this kid. I met him before the fight. He fought Costa Zoo in Melbourne. I had the pleasure of meeting him at the weigh-in, the reading of the rules. I've never met a better example for the fight man. He got beat and he remained an absolute gentleman, and I feel that, I must say, Jesse James Lear, I don't think I've ever seen a better sport. Thank you.
Born in Brooklyn, graduated from NYU with a degree in journalism in 1978. Upon graduating, he was hired by the London Publishing Company, which produced boxing and wrestling magazines. In 1980, London published him and he launched KO magazine. In 1989, he was named editor-in-chief of Ring magazine and held that position until 1997. He has worked for ESPN, Sports Channel, USA's Tuesday Night Fights, and CNN. In 2001, he was tabbed as an expert analyst on the Showtime boxing series, ShowBox, and remains there today. He has been honored by the Boxing Writers Association 3 times: 2002 Sam Taub Award, 2008 James J. Walker Award, and 2010 the Nat Fleischer Award. In the Observer category, 2017 Hall of Fame inductee and also someone I consider a good friend, Steve Farhood.
Showtime has a reputation for this kind of behavior at these moments, and I love it. Can I ask someone to time this speech, because I have a bet on the over-under. The reason I'm timing my speech, there have been too many times I've been seated where you are, and have suffered through well-intended speeches that dragged on and on. So I will be brief with my speech. Then there'll be a slideshow, followed by a question and answer. We'll be done in no more than 90 minutes, I promise. I really want to thank Ed, Jeff Brophy, everyone here at the hall. They've been friends for a long time. I've been coming up here for a long time. And they do such a great job in making us feel so special. And of course, congratulations to all the other inductees, many of whom I've covered, had the privilege of covering. I was there at Madison Square Garden when that fella turned pro. They let the fans in free that night, do you remember that? That doesn't happen any too often. It's all a bit overwhelming, it really is. Over the years, I've been asked why I've covered boxing and no other sports. My question in response to that question is, why would a journalist want to cover anything other than boxing? There is nothing quite as revealing, quite as invigorating, quite as electric, quite as magical as a great fight. Except for maybe a 30-minute run at the craps table. After all these years, boxing can still wow me. And that's part of why I'm still doing this. That and the need to pay for my wife's extravagant lifestyle. Everybody liked that joke. It was really just for my friends. As for the fighters, they continue to fascinate me. With rare exception, the boxers are uneducated, but hardly unintelligent. Tough and suitably toughened, yet emotionally vulnerable. And willing to open up and tell their life stories, which can leave both speaker and listener in tears. If you're a journalist, you're naturally curious. And if you're curious, you value a good story. I've done this for almost 40 years. If I do it for another 140, the stories of the boxers and boxing will never grow old or stale. I thank boxing for finding me. How lucky am I to have covered the last 2 fights of Muhammad Ali's career? How lucky am I to be able to refer to writers I idolized, Larry Merchant, George Plimpton, Bud Schulberg, Pete Hamill, as colleagues? How lucky am I to still be doing what I've always wanted to do and what I still want to do? I not only thank boxing, but I thank so many individuals who have been so instrumental in my career. I thank my sister Linda, who's right here, along with my sister Billy and my brother-in-law Sarah. Linda is an English professor, and when I was very young, she stoked my interest in the written word, and she still does. I thank 2 people who impacted my career more than anyone else. On the print side, there was Stanley Weston, a member of this very Hall of Fame, who founded and ran London Publishing, and who trusted me enough to put first KO magazine and then the Ring magazine in my hands. And on the broadcast side, the late Jay Larkin, who saw my crooked nose, heard my Brooklyn accent, and instantly decided that Farhood is somebody we have to put on TV. The TV network was Showtime, and 16 years after we started the Showbox series, this face, with a lot of help from various makeup artists, is still invading the televisions in your living room. Speaking of Showbox, we had a show 2 nights ago in Verona. The producer was Rich Gaughan. The director was Rick Phillips. You heard Barry mention both of them before. For 16 years, the producer of Showbox has been Rich Gaughan, and the director has been Rick Phillips. Do you mind standing up? I really want to try to embarrass you. Even after all these years, Rich and Rick make me smile the moment I see them. And I can't think of a better or more personal compliment.
10 seconds, Steve.
Thank you very much. All right, so it's the old one. I lost the bet. Not the first time. We've been through a lot together, and I legitimately love you guys. The Showbox crew has been so supportive during this process, and I'd like to acknowledge those who are here today. Joey Silva, Joe Giacovino, I'm not sure if Paul Tarter is here. There's Paul. And as far as my Showbox partners, well, Raul Marquez, you are a pleasure to work with and a joy to hang out with. And in a few months, your soon-to-be-born son, Liam, will be replacing you on the broadcast. Barry Tompkins, Hall of Fame protocol forced me to wait an agonizing week before learning that we'd be inducted together. It speaks volumes about how I feel about you as both a partner and a friend, that I was as thrilled by your deserving induction as I was by my own, and you know I mean that. You are a legend who should be in the Hall of Fame of every sport you've covered, which is every sport there is. Another couple of Hall of Famers, Al Bernstein and Jimmy Lennon Jr., worked on Showbox broadcast on Friday night. Al, the first time we worked on TV together was about 35 years ago. That doesn't mean we're old. What it means is we're ancient. For all these years, you've unfailingly shared your affection, your wisdom, and your humor. I love you, and I love your entire family. And Jimmy, where is Jimmy? There he is. There's a good reason you're referred to as the classy Jimmy Lennon Jr. I'm especially honored to be going to the Hall of Fame with your dad, whom I had the pleasure of meeting only once, but when you meet a legend, you don't forget it. Everyone else from Showtime, Barry indicated how difficult it was for Morrow, the voice of Showtime Boxing, to get here. It means everything that you're here. You're a great friend. Chuck, Ray Smalls, Jody, who I've known at Showtime longer than anyone else. We somehow still put up with each other. I love all of you. The PR staff, Matt, who's new to the game, Flo, Matt, Chris de Blasio, Nima, a new but wonderful friend. It really is family. I love all of you. Brian Daly and his digital team as well. And I thank our boss at Showtime, Steven Espinoza, for his continued support, especially for his support for Showbox, and for making Showtime Boxing the #1 TV network, of which we are all so proud. David Dinkins Jr., executive producer of Showtime Sports, and the smartest man in the room. You've taught me so much about television. You've taught me so much about hip replacement surgery. And you've been such a loyal friend. And it's always good to know, David, and I want to embarrass you a little bit, so please stand up. And it's always good to know that no matter what kind of mood David is in, I can always make him laugh simply by saying, put him in a straitjacket. It's an inside joke, I had to. Gordon Hall, my boss at Showtime, and the man with whom I've worked most closely over the past 16 years. Please stand up, Gordon. We've traveled the world together, and every stop has been an absolute pleasure. Even Miami, Oklahoma, and Philadelphia, Mississippi. You're a man of integrity, selflessness, and humility, and I'm fortunate to work for you and with you. I thank all of my friends for coming, of which there are a few here, most of whom I've known for close to 50 years. And to a man and woman, they all have something I don't have, a driver's license. And Marcia, the love of my life, whom of course asked me not to mention her in the speech, so come on, stand up. I always look forward to my work on the road, but I've said this before and I mean it more than ever now, but I don't look forward to it half as much as I look forward to coming home to you. Finally, since I'm on the over already, I can keep going for a few moments. Finally, I'd like to borrow a quote from a Hall of Famer from another sport, football coach Marv Levy, who famously said, "Where else would you rather be than right here, right now?" I can answer that. Nowhere else. I miss you, Nick. I love you, Stephen. I love you, Mom. And thank you, Canastota, for allowing me to carve out my own little piece of boxing heaven. Thank you.
Born in Mexico City, he was a 5-time Mexican national champion. He turned pro in 1989 at age 15 and won his first 43 bouts. He won the NABF Super Flyweight title before capturing world championships in 3 weight divisions. Held victories over Daniel Jimenez, Eddie Croft, Kennedy McKinney, Jesse Benavides, Erik Morales, Nassim Hamed, Johnny Tapia, Kevin Kelly, and Paulie Iola. This versatile boxer-puncher retired with a record of 67 victories, 7 losses, 44 knockouts, and is now an analyst for TV Azteca. 2017 Hall of Fame inductee, the baby-faced assassin, Marco Antonio Barrera.
Hola, muy buenas tardes. Yo creo que voy a pedirle a mi hijo que me traduzca porque hay palabras que se me dificultan.
Hello, good afternoon everyone, and I'm going to ask my son to be my interpreter because my English is not very good.
Primero quiero darle gracias a Dios. En segundo quiero darle gracias a mis padres que me dieron la vida.
First, I want to thank God. Then I want to thank my family that they gave me all in life.
A mis hermanos, a una de mis hermanas que se nos adelantó, está en el cielo.
My brothers and one of my sisters that passed away.
También quiero dar gracias a mi esposa que ya llevamos 18 años, donde nunca he podido ganar las peleas, pero aquí sigo.
Also want to thank my wife, that we have been together 18 years. Those are the only fights that I can win.
Quiero dar gracias porque me dio 4 hermosos regalos. Yo pedía más, pero se acabaron los viajes a Big Bear y no sé por qué ya no tuve otro.
And I want to thank her because she gave me 4 beautiful child, and I wanted more, but the flights to Big Bear were over, so she couldn't have more.
También quiero dar las gracias a las personas que hicieron posible estar aquí cuando empecé mi carrera, la familia Maldonado, y a una de las empresas más importantes cuando yo estuve activo, que fue Golden Boy Promotion.
I want to thank the family Maldonado and Golden Boy because they've been here since my career started.
También quiero dar las gracias a las personas que estuvieron conmigo, Sendai Tanaka, 20 años trabajando conmigo, Roberto Díaz, Carla Díaz.
Also want to thank Sendai Tanaka, Roberto Díaz, and Carla Díaz who are being here with me.
A Katsumishi, que estuvo presente en mis grandes noches junto con Junko.
Katsumishi, who have been present on my great nights, also Junko.
Y pues bueno, cuando uno nace y se dedica al boxeo, nunca piensas que vas a trascender, solamente crees que vas a ser campeón mundial y nada más.
When one starts boxing, you don't think you're going to be one of the greats, you just think you're going to be champion.
Pero esta semana creo que ha sido la semana más grandiosa de mi vida, estar con los antiguos campeones y con los que van también para ser grandes en esta carrera.
But I think this has been the best week of my life.
Porque estoy con los
Because I'm with the champions,
del pasado.
with the champions from now and champions for before.
Bueno, y sin dejar de mencionar también a los jueces, referees y a toda la gente que hizo posible este evento y a todas las personas que aquí ayudan.
Also mentioning judges, referees, who could make this possible.
Y ya con esto no sé qué más le puedo pedir a la vida. Tengo una hermosa familia, tengo a mis padres, soy inducido al Salón de la Fama aquí en Canastota y trabajo en una de las mejores televisoras que es TV Azteca.
With it all said, I don't know what else can I ask to life. I have a great family. Now I'm inducted on a Boxing Hall of Fame. And I work on one of the best Mexican television.
Muchísimas gracias y que viva México.
Thanks everyone and viva Mexico.
Born in Atmore, Georgia, he capped off his amateur career with a bronze medal in the 1984 Olympic Games. In only his 12th fight, he defeated Dwight Quaye for the WBA Cruiserweight title and became the unified champion with wins over the IBF champion Ricky Parkey and WBC champion Carlos De Leon. Moving up to heavyweight, he defeated Buster Douglas to win the WBC, WBA, and IBF championships. Holds victories over George Foreman, Larry Holmes, Spokenberg Cooper, Riddick Bowe, and Mike Tyson. Boxed until 2011, compiling a record of 44 victories, 10 defeats, 2 draws with 29 big KOs. He's the real deal, Evander Holyfield.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here in the Hall of Fame, but first of all, I'd like to give thanks to the Lord Jesus Christ, head of my life. I truly believe without Jesus in my life, I wouldn't be who I am. And I'd like to start off thanking my mom, you know. Because youngest of 9 in my family, and you know, life is not so easy when you're the youngest. Not for me anyway. All my friends, who is the youngest of the family, everybody took care of them. And you know, at home it wasn't like that with me. They never let me win. And so I'm here today to be thankful for all the people who gave me a helping hand. I wouldn't be who I am if it wasn't for my brothers and sisters. And I'm honored that they here. I see my 3 sisters here, you know, Annette, Priscilla, and Eloise. I don't see them more. Right? I guess that was 3. But I'm honored because, you know, me being the youngest, I had to do what everybody tells me to do. So I was what they call the gopher. Go for wherever they say do, but I wouldn't be who I am today if it wasn't for my sisters and brothers. And I'd like to shout out to my kids here, because I don't think I actually would be who I am if I ain't have nothing to work for. I just so happen to have 11. Yeah, I got 6 of them here. They were ready here on the second row. Saying all that, you know, when I start boxing at the age of 8 years old. I got an opportunity to go to the boys club, and the boys club gave me that opportunity. When I was 8 years old, the coach told me I could be like Muhammad Ali, and I told the coach I was 8 years old. He told me I wouldn't always be 8, and I believed him, because next week I was gonna be 9. And so life is all about what you believe in. And he asked me, so what you think? I told him I had to ask my mom. Because regardless of what that man said, if my mama didn't say I could be it, I couldn't be it. So I went home and asked my mom. She said, do you know what they're gonna do to you? She said, they gonna hit you. I'm the youngest of the family, I get hit all the time. I get 3 whoopings a day. You know, I'm used to getting hit. And my mama told me I can hit them back. And so that's how boxing started with me. You know, my first fight, I fought a guy and I hit him. My coach said, you see that kid there? I said, yes, sir. He said, the bell ring, I want you to hit him ready to know. So I looked at the kid, and his coach told me to hit me in the nose. But the 3 things that my mama taught me: listen, follow direction, not quit. And so I got down in my stance, the bell rung, the kid ran out there and I ran out there, but he closed his eyes. I didn't close my eyes. I hit him right in the nose. He started crying. The referee stopped the fight. And my coach, Carter Morgan, who was about 70 years old, the big stomach with the eagles on his arm, and trying to get in there, he got stuck in the ropes. He was so excited to get in there. When he got in there, he raised my hand and told me I took my first step of being the heavyweight champion of the world. So, here I am saying that with the Boys Club giving me the opportunity, and the coach, Mr. Morgan, gave me a goal to work at. Now, I wasn't the brightest kid in school, but I wasn't the dumbest either. You know, I worked hard, but somehow I could never get as fast as the other kid. So of course, by the time I got 15 to 16 years old, I was real good in boxing, and you not realize that. And so, you know what? Things started to work because I wouldn't quit. You know, I'm so glad when I turned 16, they came out with Jerry curls. You know, so, but I couldn't afford them Jerry curls. So all the guys in school who can afford a Jerry curl got Jerry curls. So their hair was so shiny and all this, and I ain't have, so they started lying, saying this their baby hair and all this, and so they got the girlfriends. I didn't get a chance to get no girlfriend. So I became a better boxer than them. So that's how my career started. So my mom wouldn't let me quit. Then all of a sudden, when I turned 16 years old, it was prom time. And I wanted to go to the prom. But I won the tournament to go to Canada. And I didn't want to go to Canada. But my mama looked and said, what do the prom have to do with being the heavyweight champion of the world? Didn't you not say you want to be the heavyweight champion of the world? Yes, ma'am. Okay, then do you want me to tell that girl, do you want to tell her? I knew my mama was going to embarrass me. So I told her that I got to go to Canada. And so, and the point of doing that, I learned how to make decisions. So when it came down to going to Vegas and all this, I realized that now my mama said, you came this and you never had. Now, so the whole big thing, you got to remember everything that I became, because my mama would keep telling me over and over now, but when I was young, when she told me, I got hit too. Like this, so I got quick reflex because my mama hit to the head all the time. So here I am, I'm telling you that there's all these things that my mama taught me. My mama said, you know, son, regardless of how old you get, you got to remember what I tell you. See, I love you. I'm not sure if everybody else loves you. Who loves you? I know my mama loved me. And so I'm standing here today in honor and sitting here saying the 3 things that my mother taught me: listen, follow, direction, not quit. And I had brothers and sisters who were smart enough now to let me do what they did, because I was going to tell my mama. Because when my mama asked me, I would tell her everything. With them licks that I get, I was going to tell. So I'm here today honored and thanking the one for that Boys Club and the people people that was in my life as that kid. I've never been who I am. So it's not, as you see me and everybody say, it's kind of team. Because everybody, I've never been who I am. It's from my brothers and sisters. Then once I got past my brothers and sisters, you know, it was my kids. I would never been who I am. It's one of my kids. Because just by each one of them kids, at some point in time when I wanted to quit, I looked over there and seen one of my kids. And I remember the fight with Dennis Lewis. I told Dennis I was going to knock him out in the 3rd round. When that bell rung at the 3rd round, and I didn't knock him out, I ain't have nothing. The only reason why I didn't quit, my son Evander Jr. was sitting there. And I didn't want them to tell him he gonna be exactly like your dad. When pressure hit, he quit. That's the only reason why I didn't quit. End up with a draw. So I'm sitting here so thankful that this Hall of Fame thing is all about the help that I got from someone else. And I want to thank all the people here that made the decision to elect me, to put me in. Thank you very much.